Before you try to change your life, change where your energy goes. Most people lose their power not because they're weak, but because they're distracted. They pour their focus into people who don't value them, problems that don't deserve them, and noise that doesn't grow them. Today, I want you to take all that power back. I want you to understand that everything, your peace, your success, your confidence, is just energy. And the moment you stop giving that energy away, you become unstoppable. So today, don't listen to me casually. Listen with intention. Because what I'm about to tell you can change the way you move, the way you think, and the way you protect your power forever. Energy is one of the most powerful forms of currency you possess, yet most people spend it without thinking. You wouldn't hand your wallet to a stranger, so why hand your peace, your attention, and your focus to anyone who asks for it? Every thought you entertain, every conversation you choose, and every emotion you allow into your space costs you something. And the truth is, people rarely realize how much they're paying until they feel drained, exhausted, or mentally scattered. When you begin to understand that your energy is limited, precious, and deeply connected to your success, you stop giving it away so easily. Most of the things that drain you don't deserve you. The arguments that go nowhere, the people who only call when they need something, the insecurities that play on repeat in your mind. None of these things invest back into you. They don't refill you, strengthen you, or move you forward. They simply take. And when you constantly give energy to things that don't grow you, you end up starving the parts of you that actually matter. Your goals, your dreams, your passions, they require energy too. And if all your power is being spent on the wrong places, the right things never get fed. You have to become intentional about what gets your attention. You can't fix every situation. You can't save everyone. You can't fight every battle. And honestly, you shouldn't. Some things are beneath your energy. Some people only want a reaction from you, not a resolution. Some habits only want to keep you stuck, not empowered. When you start treating your energy like the powerful currency it is, you stop reacting to everything. You start choosing, and that choice alone becomes an act of strength. There will always be distractions trying to pull you in different directions, but distractions only win when you stop valuing your focus. The more you grow, the more the world will try to interrupt your peace. That's why discipline matters. Discipline isn't punishment, it's protection. It protects your time, it protects your mind, and it protects your energy from being wasted on things that don't deserve it. When you set boundaries, you're not being rude, you're being responsible. You're telling the world, my energy is valuable, and I won't spend it where it won't grow. When you finally redirect your energy toward yourself, everything changes. You feel lighter because you stop carrying what isn't yours. You feel stronger because you're finally investing in your own life. You feel clearer because you're no longer listening to noise disguised as urgency. You start to see progress because your energy is finally going where it should have gone all along, toward your growth, your peace, your success. People think transformation begins with massive actions, but it doesn't. It begins in the smallest place, where you choose to put your energy. When you learn to spend it wisely, you don't just change your day, you change the direction of your entire life. What you give your attention to becomes the thing that shapes your life, whether you meant for it to or not. Most people don't lose control because life is too hard. They lose control because they're feeding the wrong things with their focus. Your attention is powerful. It is the oxygen that keeps thoughts alive, keeps fears alive, keeps insecurities alive, and keeps toxic people alive in your mind long after they should have been gone. When you understand this, you stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, why am I still giving this power? Because the truth is simple. Anything you keep feeding will grow, and anything you starve will lose its strength. Every time you replay a negative memory, you give it power. Every time you react to someone's disrespect, you give them power. Every time you overthink something that doesn't deserve that much of your time, you give the situation power. And gradually, without noticing, you begin to live in the shadow of the things you never intended to grow. That's why it's so important to be conscious about where your energy flows. What you focus on becomes your reality, not because it's the only thing happening, but because it's the only thing you keep allowing to matter. People will always try to pull your attention toward them through noise, drama, gossip, negativity. Some people thrive on being the center of your emotional world, even if it destroys your peace. But the strongest move you can make is not reacting. It's choosing where your mind goes instead of letting the world choose for you. You take your power back not through force, but through focus. When you stop feeding what drains you, it loses the ability to control you. The moment you stop responding to chaos, it no longer has influence. And when you shift your attention toward what strengthens you, you begin to rise above everything that once pulled you down. The most dangerous place you can live is inside problems that don't belong to you. The most powerful place you can live is inside your purpose. But purpose requires attention. Growth requires attention. Healing requires attention. Your dreams don't grow because you want them. They grow because you choose them again and again, even when distractions try to pull you away. That's the part most people forget. You don't change your life by fighting everything around you. You change it by feeding the right things within you. When you start focusing on what builds you, your goals, your mental strength, your discipline, your peace, you start noticing something. The things that once felt overwhelming begin to shrink. Not because they disappeared, but because you stopped giving them your power. You stopped letting them borrow your mind. And that's when life begins to shift. Your clarity returns, your confidence rises, your decisions become stronger. You begin to feel grounded, centered, and untouchable. In the end, it's not the world that defines your strength, it's what you choose to empower. And when you finally decide that your energy belongs to your growth, to your purpose, to your peace, everything else loses its grip on you. That is where true power begins. Not in control over others, but in control over your focus. Your mind is the most valuable territory you will ever own, yet most people guard it less than they guard their phone password. You have to start treating your mental space like it's a high-security vault, because what enters it will determine what comes out of your life. Not everyone deserves access to you. Not everyone deserves to know what you're thinking, how you're feeling, or what you're planning. When you give the wrong people access to your inner world, you give them the ability to influence your peace, your confidence, and your direction. And once someone gets inside your mind, it's far harder to get them out than it was to let them in. People will always have opinions. They will always project their insecurities, their fears, and their limitations onto you. If you're not careful, their voices become your inner voice. Their doubts become your hesitation. Their negativity becomes the lens you see yourself through. That's why you need boundaries, not to shut the world out, but to protect the parts of yourself that are still growing. The moment you start choosing who gets your emotional energy and who doesn't, you take back control of your mental landscape. You stop being influenced and start being intentional. Some people only come into your life because your mind is an open door. They walk in, leave their mess, and expect you to clean it up. They dump their stress on you. They manipulate your empathy. They drain your motivation, and they do it without even realizing the weight they leave behind. Protecting your mental space means you stop letting people unload their chaos onto you just because you're capable of carrying it. You don't owe anyone the right to disturb your peace just because they're comfortable doing it. The strongest people in the world are not the ones who can handle the most stress. They're the ones who refuse to let unnecessary stress enter their life in the first place. They know how to say no without apologizing. They know how to walk away without guilt. They know how to stay silent when someone is trying to pull them into a fight that has nothing to do with growth. Protecting your mental space is not about being cold. It's about choosing yourself. It's about recognizing that your peace is worth more than someone else's temporary comfort. When you start treating your mind like a vault, you begin to understand the importance of privacy. Not everyone needs to know your emotions. Not everyone needs to know your goals. Not everyone needs to be updated on your progress. The more private your life becomes, the more peace you feel. The less you explain, the more grounded you stay. Privacy isn't secrecy, it's self-respect. The safest place for your dreams is inside your own discipline, not inside someone else's opinion. And when your mental space is protected, everything in your life becomes clearer. You think better. You decide better. You follow your path instead of being pulled into someone else's chaos. You don't move out of fear or pressure. You move out of purpose. You start feeling stronger, not because life becomes easier, but because you're no longer giving your energy to people or situations that weaken you. Your mind becomes a place of strategy, not stress, clarity, not confusion, growth, not noise. That is the power of guarding your inner world. It gives you back the control you never should have given away. Your self-worth is the silent force that shapes the energy you carry into every room and every interaction. You don't have to announce your value for people to feel it. Your energy does that for you. The way you walk, the way you speak, the way you set boundaries, the way you choose what you will and won't tolerate. All of it communicates your worth long before your words do. When you truly understand what you bring to the table, you stop begging for a seat at tables that don't respect you. You stop chasing validation because you finally realize that your value isn't something others give you. It's something you recognize within yourself. Most people get treated poorly not because they deserve less, but because they accept less. You teach people how to treat you by what you allow, what you respond to, and what you choose to walk away from. If you make excuses for people who disrespect you, that becomes their standard. If you stay silent when you should speak up, that silence becomes your boundary. If you shrink yourself to make others comfortable, they start believing you're small. Your energy sets the tone, and people will follow the frequency you broadcast. When you elevate that frequency through self-respect, confidence, and clarity, the world around you adjusts to meet it. But self-worth is not built on words. It's built on choices. It's built on the decisions you make when no one is watching. It's built on the promises you keep to yourself. Every time you prioritize your well-being, you reinforce your worth. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you reaffirm your value. Every time you walk away from something that harms your peace, you send a message to your mind, I deserve better than this. And your mind listens. It remembers. It starts treating you like someone who matters. Your self-worth rises because you are finally acting like someone who deserves more than bare minimum effort, whether from others or from yourself. There will be people who don't like your growth. There will be people who preferred you when you doubted yourself, when you were easier to manipulate, when you didn't know your own strength. The moment you raise your frequency, you no longer match theirs, and that creates friction. Don't mistake that discomfort for a sign that you're doing something wrong. It's a sign that you're leveling up. Not everyone is meant to rise with you, and that's okay. Your self-worth will naturally filter your environment. It will pull the right people closer and push the wrong people away. As your self-worth strengthens, you stop tolerating inconsistency, disrespect, mixed signals, and emotional games. You stop trying to fix people who don't want to change. You stop giving your loyalty to people who haven't earned it. You stop letting guilt, fear, or loneliness make your decisions for you. You start choosing peace over chaos, clarity over confusion, and growth over familiarity. And the world responds. Opportunities start coming your way because you finally believe you're worthy of them. Healthy people gravitate toward you because your energy feels solid, grounded, and safe. You attract better because you treat yourself better. And the most powerful shift of all is internal. You start speaking to yourself with kindness. You stop tearing yourself down for mistakes. You stop punishing yourself for being human. You stop comparing your life to others and start honoring your own pace. You realize that self-worth is not about perfection. It's about acceptance. It's about knowing your strengths without denying your flaws. It's about understanding that you are allowed to grow, allowed to change, allowed to outgrow the older version of you. When you hold that level of self-worth, your energy changes so deeply that the world has no choice but to change with it. Discipline is one of the purest forms of self-respect you will ever practice. It's the moment you tell yourself, I am in control of my life. My excuses don't make the decisions here. I do. Discipline isn't about being perfect, strict, or hard on yourself. It's about honoring the life you say you want. It's the bridge between your intentions and your reality. Anyone can dream. Discipline is what turns those dreams into something you can touch. When you act with discipline, even in small ways, you're sending a powerful message to your own mind. I can trust myself. And that trust becomes the foundation for every success that follows. Most people think discipline is about forcing yourself into routines or punishing yourself when you fall short, but that's not true. Real discipline is energy in motion. Every time you decide to show up for yourself, even when you don't feel like it, you create momentum. That momentum becomes confidence, and that confidence becomes belief. You start to realize that you are capable of much more than you thought. You stop needing motivation because discipline becomes part of who you are. You stop waiting for the right mood, the right day, or the right opportunity. You act because you've trained yourself to act, not because life feels easy. There will always be moments when you feel tired, unmotivated, or overwhelmed. Discipline is what keeps you moving in those moments. It doesn't ignore your feelings, it just doesn't let them be the driver. You can acknowledge your fear and still take the next step. You can feel uncertain and still keep your promise. You can feel uninspired, but still do the work. And when you do that consistently, something powerful happens. You build a version of yourself who doesn't break under pressure, doesn't fold in chaos, and doesn't quit when things get heavy. You become someone who follows through. Discipline also protects your energy from going places that won't serve you. It helps you say no to distractions, no to unhealthy habits, no to people who pull you off your path. It gives you clarity because it teaches you what deserves your time and what doesn't. When you're disciplined, you don't get dragged into gossip, drama, procrastination, or excuses. You don't waste energy on things that don't align with your purpose. You become selective, not because you're better than anyone, but because you finally recognize how valuable your time and energy are. People often look at disciplined individuals and think they're naturally strong or naturally focused. But nobody is born disciplined. It is built, repetition by repetition, choice by choice, day by day. It's formed in moments where no one is watching. It's built when you wake up early, when you refuse to break a promise to yourself, when you choose consistency over comfort. Every small act of discipline compounds. It becomes a habit, a mindset, a lifestyle. And the beautiful thing about discipline is that once you develop it, it touches every area of your life. You become better in your work, your relationships, your health, your mindset. Everything aligns because you align. And the truth is this: discipline is freedom. It frees you from regret, from chaos, from feeling lost, from feeling powerless. It gives you control over your own trajectory. It makes your life intentional instead of accidental. When you start treating discipline as energy in motion, as a force that moves you from who you were to who you're becoming, you stop running in circles and start moving forward with purpose. You begin to shape your life instead of reacting to it, and that is where your real power lives. Negativity is one of the most contagious forces in the world, and most people don't realize how much of it they're absorbing simply by reacting. When someone throws anger, frustration, or criticism at you, your first instinct might be to push back, defend yourself, or mirror their energy. That is exactly what the world expects you to do. But here's the truth. Reacting to negativity is giving it power. Every time you match chaos with chaos, you lose a piece of yourself. You allow someone else's energy to dictate your state of mind, your emotions, and ultimately, your decisions. The stronger move is not to meet them on their battlefield. It's to rise above it, to stay grounded, and to operate from a place of control. Leading your energy doesn't mean ignoring reality or pretending problems don't exist. It means choosing how you respond, rather than letting the world decide for you. It means recognizing that your focus is too valuable to waste on drama, gossip, or manipulation. The people who thrive on pulling others down are counting on emotional reactions. They want chaos because it feeds their sense of control. When you refuse to react, you take that control away. You show them, without words, that your energy is yours, and it cannot be borrowed or stolen. That in itself is a form of power that most people never understand. Staying centered requires awareness, practice, and patience. It requires you to notice when external forces are trying to penetrate your peace and consciously decide not to allow it. It means observing without absorbing, responding without overreacting, and maintaining calm even when everything around you feels volatile. The energy you lead becomes a reflection of the energy you choose to nurture within yourself. If you feed patience, clarity, and purpose, those qualities expand in your life. If you react impulsively to every external trigger, you invite disruption and confusion. The difference between chaos and calm is often simply the decision to lead your energy rather than match it. Most people don't realize that leading energy also means creating boundaries, not just physical or verbal boundaries, but energetic ones. It's deciding which conversations, interactions, and situations deserve a piece of your focus and which don't. When someone is trying to pull you into negativity, you can politely disengage, stay quiet, or simply shift your attention elsewhere. Leading your energy doesn't require confrontation, it requires control. And control is far more powerful than reaction because it positions you as the one in charge of your life, no matter the circumstances around you. When you consistently lead your energy instead of matching it, you begin to notice a profound shift. Situations that used to upset you no longer have the same hold. People who used to provoke strong reactions no longer have access to your emotional state. You become a steady presence in a world that is constantly trying to shake you. That steadiness attracts others. It draws respect, trust, and alignment. People naturally gravitate toward calm, focused energy, and they tend to mirror it. The stronger your energy, the more you influence your surroundings without even speaking. You realize that true power is not about controlling others, it's about controlling yourself. And in that control lies freedom. The freedom to act intentionally, to invest your energy wisely, and to live without being pulled off course by the chaos of the world. Silence is one of the most underrated forms of power, yet it carries a weight that words rarely can. People believe that to be heard, to be respected, or to be understood, they must constantly speak, justify, or defend themselves. But the truth is, the more you explain, the more you dilute your energy. Every time you feel the need to justify your choices or defend your actions, you give someone else access to your mental space, and once they're there, they begin to influence your focus. Silence, on the other hand, is intentional. It signals that your energy is yours and that you are not available for manipulation, distraction, or unnecessary conflict. By choosing silence, you communicate more about your strength than any argument ever could. The world will constantly test you, try to provoke a reaction, or demand explanations for the way you live your life. There will be people who misunderstand you, criticize you, or try to pull you into debates that have nothing to do with your growth. Responding to them immediately, reacting emotionally, or over-explaining gives them exactly what they want: access to your energy. When you learn to remain silent, you start to realize that your absence of reaction is not weakness. It is strategy. Your silence becomes a shield, protecting the calm, focused energy you've worked so hard to cultivate. It allows you to observe, to think, and to act from a position of power rather than a position of impulse. Silence also forces clarity, both in yourself and in others. When you stop filling the air with words meant to convince, persuade, or defend, you create space for reflection. Others begin to notice your composure, your restraint, and your control. Your silence becomes a statement that your energy cannot be swayed by noise. It demonstrates that you do not need validation from anyone else because you are already aligned with your own standards. The less you explain, the stronger your presence becomes. People start to respect boundaries they never thought they would, and they start to follow the rhythm you set, rather than trying to pull you into theirs. Choosing silence doesn't mean you ignore the world. It means you respond with precision rather than reaction. It means you speak when your words have purpose, when they add value, or when action is required. Every word you choose becomes a tool rather than a reflex. You conserve your energy, and that conservation allows you to pour power into the areas that truly matter: your goals, your focus, your growth. Silence becomes a form of discipline, a way of saying to the world that your energy is intentional, measured, and untouchable by the chaos of others. Over time, practicing silence transforms your presence. People begin to feel the weight of your energy without you saying a word. Your focus becomes magnetic, and your life begins to shift in response. Opportunities, respect, and alignment naturally gravitate towards someone who operates from this calm authority. You stop being pulled into arguments, distractions, and unnecessary explanations, and you start moving through life in a way that is deliberate, controlled, and empowered. Silence is not emptiness. It is the quiet strength that commands attention without asking for it, and it is one of the most powerful tools you can ever wield in a world that constantly demands your energy. Your environment is far more powerful than most people realize because it quietly shapes your energy every single day. The people you spend the most time with, the media you consume, the spaces you inhabit, even the conversations you overhear, all of these act like invisible currents that pull your mind and spirit in one direction or another. If you're constantly surrounded by negativity, doubt, or chaos, you start absorbing it without even noticing. You wake up feeling drained, unmotivated, or anxious, and you can't quite put your finger on why. That is the subtle power of your environment. It influences your energy, your mindset, and ultimately, the trajectory of your life. People often underestimate how much influence the wrong environment can have. Toxic relationships, for example, are energy vampires. They demand your focus, feed off your insecurities, and subtly convince you that your power lies outside yourself. Even when they don't intend to harm you, being around someone who complains, doubts, or criticizes constantly trains your mind to do the same. Your thoughts begin to echo theirs. Your energy matches theirs. And slowly, without realizing it, you stop moving toward your own growth because you've been absorbing theirs. That is why protecting your environment isn't selfish. It's survival. It's the act of preserving your energy so it can flow toward what truly matters. The media you consume has the same effect. Every time you scroll through social feeds, binge shows, or listen to conversations that stir fear or envy, your energy is being directed. You are feeding your mind content that either empowers you or weakens you. If you fill your life with stories of failure, conflict, or chaos, your brain begins to normalize that as reality. Conversely, when you intentionally surround yourself with content that motivates, educates, and inspires, your mind begins to operate at a higher frequency. Your thoughts, your actions, and even the way you carry yourself reflect the energy you choose to consume. Attention is energy, and what you focus on repeatedly becomes a part of you. Even your physical environment affects your energy in ways that are often overlooked. Cluttered spaces, chaotic surroundings, and disorganized routines create mental noise. A chaotic environment forces your mind to work harder to focus, leaving less energy for creativity, discipline, and growth. Conversely, spaces that are clean, organized, and intentional allow your energy to flow freely. They reinforce a sense of control and calm that seeps into your mindset, influencing how you handle challenges and opportunities. Your surroundings can either trap your energy or amplify it. It's entirely within your control which path you choose. The most powerful step you can take is to curate your environment intentionally. Surround yourself with people who challenge you positively, who inspire and motivate you. Consume media that teaches, uplifts, and sharpens your mind. Arrange your physical space in a way that supports focus and clarity rather than chaos. Every choice sends a signal to your subconscious that your energy is valuable and deserves protection. Over time, these small but consistent adjustments transform how you feel, think, and act. You begin to attract opportunities, people, and experiences that match your energy because your environment has trained you to operate at a higher frequency. Your environment is not just where you live. It's the energy field that either fuels your growth or diminishes it, and the power to shape it has always been in your hands. There are moments in life when the noise, the chaos, and the demands of the world become too loud to think clearly. Growth, healing, and true transformation cannot happen in the middle of constant distraction. You have to step back, pull away, and create space where the world doesn't have access to your mind, your energy, or your focus. Isolation is not loneliness. It's a strategy. It's a deliberate choice to give yourself the environment and the time you need to process, reflect, and rebuild. When you step away from external expectations, you finally get the chance to reconnect with your own purpose, your own values, and your own energy. Healing requires honesty, and that honesty often only comes in quiet moments with yourself. When the world is constantly pulling at you, it's easy to avoid your own feelings, ignore your pain, or distract yourself with busyness. But when you intentionally isolate yourself, you remove the distractions that keep you running from what needs attention. You allow yourself to feel fully, to process fully, and to understand fully. That is when clarity begins to emerge. That is when you see which parts of your life have been draining you, which people have been taking from you, and which patterns have been holding you back. Isolation gives you the space to identify the truth without interference, and the truth is always the first step toward freedom. Growth also demands focus, and focus cannot thrive in an environment that constantly pulls at your energy. When you create space for yourself, you can pour your energy into building skills, creating plans, and setting boundaries. You can reflect on your goals without being distracted by other people's agendas, their drama, or their expectations. In that solitude, you discover the strength and resilience you didn't realize you had. You start noticing patterns, making better decisions, and envisioning a future that aligns with your purpose rather than being dictated by the noise of the world. Isolation is the environment in which focus can thrive, and focus is the engine of transformation. Many people fear isolation because they associate it with being disconnected or abandoned. But the truth is that isolation is empowering. It teaches you to rely on yourself, to trust yourself, and to honor your own presence. You learn that your worth doesn't depend on constant validation or attention from others. You discover that you are capable of sustaining your own energy, making your own decisions, and finding your own peace. It's in these moments of solitude that you build resilience that cannot be shaken by anyone else's negativity or opinion. The process of pulling back, resetting, and rebuilding is not easy. It can feel uncomfortable and at times, even lonely, but discomfort is the price of growth. Every moment spent intentionally isolated, reflecting, and prioritizing your energy is an investment in the strongest version of yourself. When you emerge from this period of isolation, you do so with clarity, with purpose, and with a power that the world cannot take from you. You become someone who moves with intention rather than reaction, someone whose energy is fully their own, and someone who is ready to engage with the world on their terms, not someone else's. Isolation is not withdrawal, it is preparation. It is the soil in which your next level of growth is planted, nurtured, and made unshakable. When you focus on yourself, something remarkable begins to happen. The world starts to align in ways you never imagined. Most people are so busy trying to fix, control, or influence everything around them that they forget to invest in the one thing that truly matters: themselves. Your energy, your attention, your focus, and your effort are like seeds. If you scatter them everywhere, nothing grows. But if you concentrate them on your own growth, your own vision, and your own purpose, the results are exponential. Everything you want, success, peace, clarity, confidence, emerges naturally when your energy is fully invested in you. It's not selfish, it's strategic. It's the only way to ensure that your life reflects your values and your intentions. The moment you start putting yourself first, you create a filter for everything else. You start noticing what deserves your attention and what doesn't. You begin to let go of distractions, of toxic people, and of habits that drain you. You stop being drawn into battles that don't belong to you, into drama that doesn't serve you, and into chaos that weakens you. Focusing on yourself is about reclaiming control over your life. It's about recognizing that your energy is finite, and that the only way to grow is to stop giving it away to things that won't grow with you. Your attention is a magnet. It attracts the things that match your frequency. The more intentional you are about where your focus goes, the more aligned your life becomes. Everything is energy, and that energy is contagious. The energy you emit informs the energy you receive. If you are scattered, anxious, or reactive, the world responds with chaos. If you are focused, disciplined, and